Hello, friends. If you want to watch super hit movie Urban Cowboy in English, then you must like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Friends, in today's video, the movie we are going to talk about is called Urban Cowboy. We will talk about what this movie is and where you can watch it all. Interesting facts about this movie. In today's video, I'm going to tell you. I am also going to give you all the information on which OTT platform or on which satellite channel you will get to watch this movie. Also, we will talk in detail about the technical department, music department, pre-production filming, post-production budget box office collection of this film. We will also talk about the story of this film, and I will also give you a small review of the story of this film. Apart from this, we will discuss about the facts of this film storyline, starcast actors' performance in the film, and which character has played which role. That's why I request you friends to watch this video till the end, so let's start the video. Midnight Cowboy is a 1969 American drama film directed by John Schlesinger, adapted by Waldo Salt from the 1965 novel by James Leo Herlihy. The film stars Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight, with supporting roles played by Sylvia Miles, John McGiver, Brenda Vaccaro, Bob Balaban, Jennifer Salt, and Barnard Hughes. Set in New York City, Midnight Cowboy depicts the unlikely friendship between two hustlers, naive prostitute Joe Buck Voight and ailing con man Rico Rizzo Hoffman, referred to as Ratso. At the 42nd Academy Awards, the film won 3 awards: Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Midnight Cowboy is the only X-rated film, equivalent of the current NC-17 rating, to win Best Picture. It placed 36th on the American Film Institute's 1998 list of the 100 greatest American films of all time, and 43rd on its 2007 updated version. In 1994, Midnight Cowboy was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress, and selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry. Plot: Texan young Joe Buck quits his dishwashing job and heads by bus to New York City in cowboy attire to become a male prostitute. Initially unsuccessful, he finally beds a middle-aged woman, Cass, in her Park Avenue apartment. She is insulted when he requests payment, and Joe ultimately gives money to her. Joe meets Rico Ratso Rizzo, an indigent con man with a limp who takes $20 for introducing him to a pimp. After discovering that the alleged pimp is actually an unhinged religious fanatic, Joe flees and unsuccessfully searches for Rico. Joe spends his days wandering the city, listening to his Zenith portable radio and sitting in his hotel room. When his money runs out, management locks Joe out and impounds his belongings. In an attempt to make money, Joe receives oral sex from a meek young man in a movie theater, but the man cannot pay. Joe threatens him, but releases him unharmed. The next day, Joe spots Rico at a diner and angrily confronts him. Rico manages to calm Joe and invites him to share his squalid, condemned apartment squat. Joe reluctantly accepts, and the two begin a business relationship as hustlers. Rico asks Joe to call him Rico instead of Ratso, but Joe does not oblige. They struggle with severe poverty, stealing food, and failing to get work for Joe. Joe pawns his radio and sells his blood, while Rico's persistent cough worsens during a winter without heat in the freezing apartment. In intermittent flashbacks, Joe's grandmother raises him after his mother abandons him. He has a tragic relationship with Annie, disclosed through hazy flashbacks in which they are attacked and raped by a cowboy gang. Annie shows signs of mental trauma and is taken into an ambulance. Rico tells Joe his father was an illiterate Italian immigrant shoeshiner whose job yielded a bad back and lung damage from inhaling shoe polish. Rico learned shoeshining from his father, but considers it degrading and generally refuses to do it. When he breaks into a stand and shines Joe's cowboy boots to attract clients, 2 police officers arrive and sit with their dirty boots next to Joe's. Rico dreams of escaping to Miami, shown in fantasies in which he and Joe frolic on a beach and are pampered at a resort, including a boy polishing Rico's boots. A Warhol-like filmmaker and an extrovert female artist approach Joe in a diner, taking his photograph and inviting him to a Warhol-esque art event. Joe and Rico attend, but Rico's poor health and hygiene attract unwanted attention. After mistaking a joint for a cigarette and receiving uppers, Joe hallucinates. He leaves with Shirley, a socialite who pays him $20 for spending the night, but Joe cannot perform sexually. They play scribbage, and the resulting wordplay leads Shirley to suggest that Joe may be gay. Suddenly, he is able to perform. The next morning, she sets up her female friend as Joe's client, and at last his career appears to be progressing. When Joe returns to the apartment, Rico is severely feverish. He refuses medical help and begs Joe to put him on a bus to Florida. Desperate for cash, Joe picks up an effeminate middle-aged man in an arcade. The two return to the man's hotel room, where Joe demands money. However, when the man refuses to give him more than $10, Joe brutally beats, robs, and apparently smothers him. Joe buys 2 bus tickets to Florida with the stolen cash. Rico again tells Joe that he wants to be called Rico, not Ratso, and Joe finally begins to oblige. During the bus trip, Rico's health worsens, and he suffers from urinary incontinence. Joe buys new clothing for Rico and himself at a rest stop, discarding his cowboy outfit and boots. Back on the bus, Joe muses that there must be an easier way to make money than hustling and tells Rico that he will get a regular job in Miami. When he does not respond, Joe realizes that Rico has died. Joe alerts the bus driver, who asks Joe to close Rico's eyelids, saying that they will soon be in Miami. The other passengers stare. With tears in his eyes, Joe sits with his arm around his dead friend as the bus continues past rows of Floridian palm trees. Cast: Dustin Hoffman as Ratso or Enrico Salvatore Rico Rizzo, John Voight as Joe Buck, Sylvia Miles as Cass, John McGiver as Mr. O'Daniel, Brenda Vaccaro as Shirley, Barnard Hughes as Townie, Ruth White as Sally Buck, Jennifer Salt as Annie, Gilman Rankin as Woodsy Niles, Jorgan Johnson as Rich Lady, Anthony Holland as TV Bishop, Bob Balaban as Young Student, Viva as Gretel McAlbertson, the Warhol-like The Factory Party happening giver, Paul Rosilli, a.k.a. Gaston Rosilli, as Hansel McAlbertson, the Factory Party happening filmmaker, Craig Carrington as Charlie Dealer. Production: the opening scenes were filmed in Big Spring, Texas, in 1968. A roadside billboard stating, "If you don't have an oil well, get one," was shown as the New York-bound bus carrying Joe Buck rolled through Texas. Such advertisements, common in the southwestern United States in the late 1960s and through the 1970s, promoted Eddie Chiles' Western Company of North America. In the film, Joe stays at the Hotel Claridge at the southeast corner of Broadway and West 44th Street in Midtown Manhattan. His room overlooked the northern half of Times Square. The building, designed by D.H. Burnham and Company and opened in 1911, was demolished in 1972. Motif featured 3 times throughout the New York scenes was the sign atop of the facade of the Mutual of New York, MON building, at 1740 Broadway. It was extended into the scribbage scene with Shirley the socialite, when Joe's incorrect spelling of the word money matched that of the sign. Dustin Hoffman, who played a grizzled veteran of New York's streets, is from Los Angeles. Despite his portrayal of Joe Buck, a character hopelessly out of his element in New York, John Voight is a native New Yorker, hailing from Yonkers. Voight was paid scale, the Screen Actors Guild minimum wage, for his portrayal of Joe Buck, a concession he willingly made to obtain the part. Harrison Ford auditioned for the role of Joe Buck. Michael Sarrazin, who was Schlesinger's first choice, was cast as Joe Buck, only to be fired when unable to gain release from his contract with Universal. The line, "I'm walkin' here," which reached number 27 on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movie Quotes, is subject to differing accounts. Producer Jerome Hellman disputes the notion that it was an ad-lib on the 2-disc DVD set of Midnight Cowboy. The scene, which originally had Ratso pretend to be hit by a taxi to feign an injury, is written into the first draft of the original script. Hoffman, however, on an installment of Bravo's Inside the Actors Studio, stated that there were many takes, with the actors hoping to get to the crosswalk at a red light so as not to have to wait for traffic while talking. In that take, they were able to cross the road without waiting, but a cab unexpectedly ran the red light and nearly hit them. Hoffman wanted to say, "We're doing a movie here," and can be heard beginning to say as such in the final film. But he ultimately changed his sentence halfway and stayed in character as he berated the driver. As such, the latter's angry response is also unscripted. On initial review by the Motion Picture Association of America, Midnight Cowboy received an R, restricted, rating. However, after consulting with a psychologist, executives at United Artists were told to accept an X rating due to the homosexual frame of reference and its possible influence on youngsters. The film was released with an X rating. The MPAA later broadened the requirements for the R rating to allow more content and raised the age restriction from 14 to 17. The film was later rated R for a reissue in 1971. It took several hours to shoot the rape scene, and Jennifer Salt recalls the evening as a traumatic ordeal for her. The wardrobe crew had given Jennifer a nude-colored bodysuit to wear, but the night was so hot and sticky that she quickly stripped it off. I felt that the most horrible thing in the world was that people were seeing my bare ass, and that was so humiliating I could not even discuss it. And this kid was just on top of me and all over me, and it hurt, and no one gave a fuck, and it was supposed to look like I was being raped. And I was screaming, and it was traumatic in some way that couldn't be acknowledged. Reception. Critical response to the film has been largely positive. Vincent Canby's lengthy 1969 review in the New York Times was blunt. A slick, brutal, but not brutalizing, movie version of Herlihy's 1965 novel. It is tough and good in important ways, although its style is oddly romantic and at variance with the laconic material. As long as the focus is on this world of cafeterias and abandoned tenements, of desperate conjunctions in movie balconies and doorways, of ketchup and beans and canned heat, Midnight Cowboy is so rough and vivid that it's almost unbearable. Midnight Cowboy often seems to be exploiting its material for sensational or comic effect, but it is ultimately a moving experience that captures the quality of a time and a place. It's not a movie for the ages, but having seen it, you won't ever again feel detached as you walk down West 42nd Street, avoiding the eyes of the drifters, stepping around the little islands of hustlers, and closing your nostrils to the smell of rancid griddles. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune said of the film, "I cannot recall a more marvelous pair of acting performances in any one film." In a 25th anniversary retrospective in 1994, Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly wrote, "Midnight Cowboy's peep show vision of Manhattan lowlife may no longer be shocking, but what is shocking, in 1994, is to see a major studio film linger this lovingly on characters who have nothing to offer the audience but their own lost souls." As of 2022, Midnight Cowboy holds an 89% approval rating on online review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, with an average rating of 8.5/10 based on 116 reviews. The website's critical consensus states, "John Schlesinger's gritty, unrelentingly bleak look at the seedy underbelly of urban American life is undeniably disturbing, but Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight's performances make it difficult to turn away." The Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa cited this movie as one of his 100 favorite films. Box office. The film opened at the Coronet Theater in New York City and grossed a house record $61,503 in its first week. Its 10th week of release, the film became #1 in the United States with a weekly gross of $550,237 and was the highest-grossing movie in September 1969. The film earned $11 million in rentals in the United States and Canada in 1969 and added a further $5.3 million the following year when it won the Academy Award for Best Picture. It eventually earned rentals of $20.5 million in the United States and Canada. By 1975, it had earned rentals of over $30 million worldwide. Television premiere. More than 5 years after its theatrical release, Midnight Cowboy premiered on television November 3, 1974. 25 minutes were edited from the film due to censorship regulations and a desire for broader appeal, citation needed. Although the cuts were approved by director John Schlesinger, critic Kay Gardella of the New York Daily News said the film was hacked up pretty badly. Soundtrack. John Barry composed the score, winning a Grammy Award for Best Instrumental Theme, although he did not receive an on-screen credit. Fred Neil's song, Everybody's Talking, won a Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Vocal Performance, male for Harry Nilsson. Schlesinger chose the song as its theme, and the song underscores the first act. Other songs considered for the theme included Nilsson's own I Guess the Lord Must Be in New York City and Randy Newman's Cowboy. Bob Dylan wrote Lay Lady Lay to serve as the theme song, but did not finish it in time, 51. The movie's main theme, Midnight Cowboy, features harmonica by Toots Thielemans, but the album version is played by Tommy Riley. The soundtrack album was released by United Artists Records in 1969. Theme song John Barry's version, used on the soundtrack, charted at number 116 in 1969. It also charted at number 47 in the UK in 1980. Johnny Mathis's rendition, one of only 2 known recordings containing lyrics, the other being the Ray Conniff Singers, reached number 20 on the U.S. Adult Contemporary chart in the fall of 1969. Ferrante and Tyker's version, the most successful, reached number 10 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 and number 2 on the Easy Listening chart, 54. It went to number 11 in Canada, 55, and number 91 in Australia, 56, 110 in 1970. Faith No More released a version as the final track on their 1992 album Angel Dust. Trivia: the song Crazy Annie from the album Any Way That You Want Me by Evie Sands and co-written by Chip Taylor was inspired by the film. Paramount Plus revealed Tuesday it is moving forward on developing TV series remakes of classic 80s movies, Urban Cowboy and Flashdance, bringing on Dear White People creator Justin Simien to write and direct the latter project. Additionally, the Viacom CBS-owned streamer said during its virtual session at the Television Critics Association press tour, it has put a docu-comedy series from Mr. Show duo Bob Odenkirk and David Cross in the works. The Urban Cowboy project comes after Paramount Television Studios first set up development on a TV series based on the film of the same name at Fox in 2015, which was later scrapped. The Paramount Plus version of the show, based on the John Travolta Debra Winger movie, goes deeper into Bud's journey from farm to the big city in 1980s Houston and will feature iconic music from that era. James Ponsoldt is directing and co-writing with Benjamin Percy. Meanwhile, Simien has come aboard the Flashdance TV series reboot, which has been in the early stages of development at Paramount Plus since October 2020, when it was still known as CBS All Access. He will adapt and direct the contemporary take on the Paramount Pictures classic that starred Jennifer Beals. Previously, Tracy McMillan was set to write the script and Angela Robinson to direct the pilot for the potential series. Paramount Plus announced Tuesday it's developing Guru Nation, a modern-day half-hour docu-style comedy from Bob Odenkirk, David Cross, and Bill Odenkirk. Along with co-creating the series, Bob Odenkirk and Cross are set to star as rival cult gurus manipulating the minds of their deluded followers. Jason Woliner, who directed Borat 2, is running the project. Executive producers include Bob Odenkirk, Cross, Bill Odenkirk, Woliner, Mark Provinciero, Naomi Odenkirk, and Tim Sarks. These 3 projects are in development alongside Paramount Plus's revival of Frasier, which follows the next chapter of Frasier Crane's story with Kelsey Grammer starring and executive producing. Also Tuesday, Paramount Plus revealed the title of its upcoming espionage drama series starring Kiefer Sutherland as Rabbit Hole. The series finds private espionage operative James Weir, Sutherland, in the midst of a battle over the preservation of democracy in a world at odds with misinformation, behavioral manipulation, the surveillance state, and the interests that control these extraordinary powers. To celebrate Sam Houston's Park 125th anniversary, the Heritage Society and Friends of the River Oaks Theater present a movie that showcases Houston's culture in the 1980s at a free showing of Urban Cowboy, dancing, and live country music on Saturday, April 27th from 7:10-15 p.m. in a hoedown on the sprawling lawns at 1000 Bagby Street. Guests can dance in the park to Sam Turner and the Cactus Cats, rowdy country crooners from the honky-tonk heartland of HTX, as part of the movie preview activities, and enjoy snackies and drinks. Dance performances will be announced shortly. The Jilly family of Jilly's Club will have a pop-up, authentic Jilly's shop with the famous Red Ringer t-shirt as seen in the movie. Jilly's retail store is based in Pasadena, TX, not far from the original location of the world-famous honky-tonk. Though the club is no longer in operation, there are 3 other Jillies in Las Vegas, Dallas, and Durant, Oklahoma. The club was a phenomenon back in the day and spawned the movie Urban Cowboy. Mickey Gilley was an owner of the club and had 17 number 1 song hits in his career. The t-shirts, hats, and bumper stickers are inspired by Mickey Gilley's music, the Urban Cowboy soundtrack, and the world's largest nightclub. The Gilleys are all about carrying the heritage and entertainment legend of their famous father. Mr. McKinney of Mr. McKinney's Historic Houston is the master of ceremonies. He was also interviewed on TV for knowing the history behind the movie, so get ready for Houston movie history trivia. He is also a founding advisory board member for Friends of River Oaks Theater and a board member of the Heritage Society. Costume contest. Dress like Bud, Sissy, Mickey Gilley, or Pam, and win a 1-year membership to the Heritage Society that gives you access to free tours and museum gallery visits to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo History Exhibit. Winners will be announced at around 7:30 p.m. in between the band break. Bring your blankets, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, and Houston spirit to see Bud and Sissy filmed throughout Houston and Pasadena as they portray a beautiful couple with a soap opera romance in this classic and unforgettable PG-13 movie. Special thanks to St. Arnold Brewery for donating brew, so guests can imagine they are at Gilley's drinking with Bud and Sissy. Free parking is available at 212 Dallas Street, and paid parking is available at the Heritage Clay Garage. This public celebration is made possible from our generous underwriters, Minette and Peter Bosel. Thank you to the Mayor's Office of Special Events and SSE Tents and Rentals for helping us create a movie theater in the park. Step back in time last century when Hollywood was in Houston at the premiere party of Urban Cowboy at Sharpstown, in this article by the Houston Chronicle. Photo credits in header. 1. Larry Reese, 6/05/1980. Actor John Travolta arrives at the Houston movie premiere for Urban Cowboy at Galen Theater in Sharpstown Center. 2. Larry Reese, 6/5/1980. Gilley's Mechanical Bull was a popular attraction at the Houston movie premiere party for Urban Cowboy at Gilley's Club, directed by James Bridges, screenplay by James Bridges, Aaron Leem, story by Aaron Leem, produced by Irving O.A., Robert Evans, C.O. Erickson, executive producer, starring John Travolta, Debra Winger, Scott Glenn, Malene Smith, Barry Corbin, cinematography, Raldo, V6 Elobos, edited by David Rollins, music by Ralph Burns, distributed by Paramount. Pictures release date June 6, 1980. Running time 135 minutes, country United. States language, English, budget $10 million, box office $53.3 million. So guys, this is the review of Urban Cowboy movie and some information about it. How do you like our today's video? Please let us know by commenting. And if you like this video, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.